The six computer-assisted instruction method of delivery are the following. First, drill and practice. Second, tutorial. Third, simulation activities. Fourth, games. Fifth, discovery. Sixth, problem solving. But before that, first we must identify what is the meaning of CAI. CAI stands for Computer Assisted Instruction, which means a remediation presented on a computer, an instructional technique whereby a computer is used to present the instructional material and monitor the learning that takes place. Computer is used as an aid to teaching. Method of instruction is called computer assisted instruction. According to Bhatt and Sharma in 1992, CAI is an instruction between a student, a computer controlled display, and a response entry device for the purpose of achieving educational outcomes. The methods of delivery are: first, drill and practice. Drill and practice is a discipline and a repetitious exercise used as a means of teaching and perfecting a skill or a procedure. It is similar to memorization. Drill and practice involves repetition of specific skills, such as spelling or multiplication. Drill and practice is often presented or mostly observed before the training session. Example: the teacher asks the students about previous topics, in a way by determining the picture. That attribute to drill and practice exercises, they can they can be used to reinforce important materials. Learners are also provided an opportunity to practice critical skills and knowledge sets. Second is tutorial. Tutorial is a method of transferring knowledge and may be used as a part of learning process. More interactive and specific than a book or a lecture. A tutorial seeks to teach by examples and supply the information to complete a certain task. Example: the students wants to know how to bake a cake on its own discovery. But since students doesn't know how to bake a cake, therefore they simply search YouTube and watch a tutorial video to know on what are the purposes or what are the process or the steps in baking a cake. If someone doesn't know and wanted to know something, YouTube is an open channel for tutorial videos. Especially nowadays, YouTube channel is a good partner for the students' learning. Third is game. Educational game use the instructional material to create a contest for the learners. Games are explicitly designed with an educational purposes or which have incidental or secondary educational value. Games are interactive. Games are interactive play that teach goals, rules, adaptation, problem solving, interaction, and represented as a story. It is designed to help students to understand concepts, learn domain knowledge, and develop problem solving skills as they play games. Example: Fun Brain is a math game, and if you play, you must solve each math problem and then identify the spot on the number line that represents your answer. And in every game you selected to play has its own level, depends on your ability if you want it in easy, moderate, or high level. And in every level has its own selected tags and the correct respondents of percentage. Fourth is simulation. Simulation provides a real life scenario with the material to be learned being applied as it would would in the real world. It requires the use of model. The models represents the key characteristics or behaviors of the selected system or process, whereas the simulation represents the evolution of the model over time. Example, when you create a computer program that is intended to a model flying a plane, and that is an example of simulation. And aside for that, an electro power generated by the waterfalls that contributed electricity to many houses. Fifth is discovery. Discovery, it involves finding or gaining knowledge about something that was previously unknown or unseen. Discovery presents learners with a wealth of material on a topic and allows the learners to seek answers on his own. Example, on a math game, it touched the critical thinking skills of the learners to manipulate on itself on what are the answers on the given questions, and the correspondent must select the given choices on what is the correct answer. Six is problem solving. A problem is any unpleasant situation which prevents people from achieving what they want to achieve. Any activity to eliminate a problem is problem solving. Problem solving refers to our ability to solve problems in an effective and timely manner without any impediments. To involves It involves being able to identify and define problem, generating alternative solutions, evaluating and selecting the best alternative, and implemented the selected solution. Example, a computer math game. A game has its own levels. Either you choose in a mode of level of easy, moderate, or high. And in every level, the questions or the standards of questions depends on the selection mode of level. But the answers are given. And all you need to do is select the best choice of answer, but there are some parts of there are some parts that can't easily solve by computing hand in hand. So there are an alternative way to fasten in finding the best answer to select by using a calculator to exactly achieve the best result of answer. The role of teachers and students in a student-centered classroom. The role of teachers are creating opportunities for students to work in a groups, collaborate, experiment, discuss, and revise with students at the center of their learning. Teachers are becoming more a support person guiding their progress and learning. Aside for that, the student-teacher relationship is important in a learner-centered classroom. Students and teacher work together to establish a positive learning environment, set short and long-term goals, monitor progress, and determine assignments and assessments. In addition, learner-centered education uses interactive strategies to engage the student and develop their abilities. This educational approach helps students develop skills such as decision making and problem solving, teamwork, and presentation skills that are relevant to the current labor needs. Third, what are educational games? Before identifying on what are the educational games, first we must identify on what is the meaning of educational games. Educational games are those intentionally designed for purpose of education, of those entertainment, games that have incidental or educational values. Educational games are designed to help people understand concepts, learn domain knowledge, and develop problem solving skills as they play games. Educational games are charades, hangman, categories, bingo, puzzle, draw swords, hot potato, and most especially, the very familiar is Pictionary. Using game in a lesson as part of teaching and learning helps to create positivity around around the lesson, motivating students with their participation and creating positive attitude towards learning. Games can also create a positive memory and experience of learning for the students in the classroom. Even as we know that educational games contributed a lot, especially the benefits of the educational games to the students. So, even though educational games contributed a positive impact, there are also pros and cons. So, first, the disadvantages of educational games is playing games has always been viewed as an activity, something to do when you're having a break or even a source of procrastination. But most people around the world have stuck to his mindset for really long time. They don't realize that they don't realize how educational it could be advantages. So the disadvantages of educational games are the following. Games may cause learners to engage in the classroom more while creating an environment of learning with experience. Games are full and can motivate or encourage the learners to continue playing. The interaction involved in a games can help learners understand better. It helps the students the way they discover the educational games on what are the contribution of it. Games may improve critical thinking skills as well as reading comprehension. It touched the minds of the students on accessing on how to play that educational games, on what are the way or the sets of playing that games. Games can be a source of stress relief for some people, especially from now. Games is very known for the students, especially online class is implemented. There are some techniques. It improves problem solving and strategic thinking. It helps kids who struggle with attention disorder, especially educational games give time to the student who is very shy. It empowers their mentality on, or it boosts their confidence because they play alone or the interaction is in the computer between the students. Aside for that, it develops hand-eye coordination. Since those are the advantages of the educational games, there are also disadvantages of educational games. The following are the disadvantages of educational games. First, games aren't designed correctly. It could be a disadvantage to the learner's thinking. For example, the teacher told the students to play a functional games or a math games. But since the process or the directions of playing that educational games is not well organized, then it is a disadvantage to the learner's thinking because the students doesn't know the how manipulate correctly the game. And second is games may be a source of distraction and waste of time, especially nowadays, since online classes is a modality from now on in this pandemic, then games is a very big distraction because it's disturbed the students' attention in focusing in answering their learner materials online. If teachers aren't familiar with the way the students are, they could be a gap between teaching and learning. For example, the teacher is an old fashioned or an old ones, and since computer is a new in the new generation, there are some teachers that they doesn't know how to manipulate the computer system. And if they doesn't know how to manipulate this computer system, it is a big disadvantages because they can teach well the students too. So games could lead to students addiction, thus causing physical and psychological problems. Yes, it is an addiction for the students. It can cause addiction to the students because, as you know, if the students permanently playing the games online, it is a big distraction. It can cause a mental health problem because the student doesn't focus anymore in educational materials or the learning activities where the teacher gives it to answer. And lastly, the goals of the games do not necessarily always design with the learning goals of the classroom. Yes, this is very in line because not all learning materials or learning activities is connected to educational games. But there are some point that educational games, especially in math subject, it is interconnected. But in different areas or in different fields, it doesn't in line with educational games too. So there are alternative way for the students to play that educational games. And aside for that, educational games disadvantages is contributing a negative behavior. And that's all. Thank you.